Have you ever wondered, why do we grow quieter as we grow older? Why do the wisest people rarely lose their temper, worry less, and avoid unnecessary arguments? In a world that is noisy and constantly shifting, is it still possible to live peacefully, without getting swept away by the whirlwind of opinions and competition? Today's video won't offer rigid philosophy lessons. Instead, it invites you on a journey of awakening, a moment to meet yourself again, to listen inward, and to rediscover the calm you may have forgotten in the rush of life. 1. Stay calm. Mastering emotions, mastering life. In life, there are countless moments when we feel offended. A careless remark, a condescending glance, or even silence itself can ignite anger in our hearts. But the ancients once warned, anger clouds judgment. Losing your temper is like setting yourself on fire to burn others. They didn't preach with grand lectures. They simply reminded us, a wise person does not let anger take the wheel. A wise person learns to control it, to live lightly and go further. Why is it so easy to get angry? Emotion is instinct. When we feel attacked, we retaliate. When treated unfairly, we flare up. That's natural. But if we fail to control our anger, we may say what should never be said, do what should never be done, and perhaps pay the price in trust, opportunity, even in precious relationships. One sentence spoken in anger can turn a dear friend into a stranger. One reckless decision can cost you what you hold most dear. A true story. One sentence that ended a friendship. Two close friends ran a small shop together for over 10 years. One day, during a disagreement over finances, one lost his temper and shouted, "If I had known you were this greedy, I would never have gone into business with you." It cut deep. The other said nothing, simply left, and never returned. The one who spoke would later regret it. But it was too late. The friendship was broken. Trust had cracked. Some things can't be mended. What did the ancients teach about anger? They didn't use complex philosophy. They spoke in brief, clear truths that sank deep into the heart. Enduring a moment of anger avoids 100 days of sorrow. Losing your temper is a fool's downfall. The gentle are cherished, the hot-tempered are avoided. They never told us to suppress emotion. They simply advised, take one step back, and you'll find the road ahead opens wide. Wise people do get angry. They just don't let anger control them. It's not about never feeling anger. It's about recognizing it when it rises and refusing to be its servant. Instead of pounding the table or raising their voice, the wise pause, breathe deeply, reflect, then choose a thoughtful response. Instead of arguing to win, they choose timely silence to preserve respect for others and for themselves. Because they know emotions are temporary, but consequences may last forever. Timeless ways to master anger from ancient wisdom. Step away from the situation. Take a step back to go 3 steps forward. Leave the heat of the moment. A cool drink, a quiet space may save a relationship. Take 10 deep breaths. Use your breath to calm the mind. Count slowly from 1 to 10. The ancients called it delayed response to regain clarity before reacting. Write down your feelings, then destroy the page. Instead of lashing out, write it out, then fold it up and tear it. A way to release emotion without hurting anyone. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If not, smile and let go. If yes, respond with reason, not rage. Keeping calm is like defending your inner fortress. Picture the aftermath. The wise think long-term. Before reacting, imagine the result. If you can do that, you've already gone further than most. Mastering your emotions isn't about denial. It's about direction. You will still hear harsh words, still witness rude behavior, still encounter moments that test your patience. But remember, raging doesn't make you strong. Staying calm in the face of rage, that's real strength. You cannot stop the storms of the world, but you can learn to keep your heart from storming within. 2. No worry. Living without anxiety, as the ancients taught. There are nights when we lie awake, tossing and turning. Nothing has happened yet, but the mind has already run 1,000 steps ahead. What if I fail the exam tomorrow? Will I still keep this job? What if something terrible happens? What will I do? We call it worry, but the ancients had another name for it. A restless mind is a mind lost in the future. Why do we worry? We worry because we crave control over the future. But here's the irony. Worry does nothing to make tomorrow better. It only darkens today. As the ancients said, if it hasn't happened yet, there's no point worrying. If it's already happened, worrying won't help either. An old tale, the man who broke the bowl. A poor farmer once borrowed a valuable bowl from his neighbor. That night, he lay in bed worrying. What if I drop it tomorrow? What if they make me pay? What if I have to sell my house? He couldn't sleep all night, and the next morning, the moment he touched the bowl, he dropped it. His hands trembled from fear, and the bowl shattered. The bowl broke not because of fate, but because his worry had taken over his actions. What did the ancients teach about worry? Let tomorrow worry for itself. To worry but not act only wears you down. Those who worry too much suffer early and may never enjoy later. The ancients didn't teach us to be careless. They taught us worry is the enemy of clarity. The wise prepare. They do not panic. The wise do not worry because they master the present. The wise live each day as if it were their last, but they prepare for tomorrow as if they'll live forever. The ancients never told us to leave things to fate. They simply reminded us, don't let what hasn't happened destroy what's already happening. Worry is dragging sadness from the future into today. 5 timeless ways to stop worrying, as taught by the ancients. Write down what worries you. When it's on paper, it's out of your mind. You'll see it clearer, smaller, and often solvable. Ask yourself, can I fix this? If yes, act now. If no, let it go gently. Keep your life in rhythm. Go to bed early, eat on time, walk every day. Strong body, steady breath, peaceful mind. The ancients called this nurturing energy to balance the heart. Avoid chronic complainers. Warriors spread worry. Calm people spread calm. Surround yourself with those whose inner strength feels like stone. Practice daily gratitude. Every day, write down 3 things you're thankful for, no matter how small. A warm meal, a ray of sunlight, a bird singing outside your window. Gratitude is the antidote to anxiety. A true story, a teacher who let worry go. Miss Hang, a contract teacher in Hanoi, spent every school year in anxiety. Will they renew my contract? What if my students score low? Does the principal even like me? She lost sleep for 2 months, until one day a friend told her, just do your best each day. If you're meant to stay, you'll stay. If not, go somewhere better. But keep your heart calm, and you've already won. She took the advice to heart, focused on her lessons, stopped overthinking. That year, her students excelled. Her contract was renewed, but most importantly, she no longer spent her nights consumed by worry. To live without worry is not to be careless. It is to know where your focus truly belongs. The wise don't chase what hasn't arrived. They live fully with what's already here, because they know only today is truly in your hands. 3. No arguing. Knowing when to stay silent is a mark of true wisdom. People can go a few days without money, a day without food, but it seems they can't go a single day without an argument. On social media, at the cafe, around the office desk. Everywhere there are debates. Many don't argue to understand. They argue to prove, I'm right, you're wrong. The ancient sages never told us to stay silent forever, but they did leave a quiet reminder. The wiser you are, the less you speak. The older you get, the more you choose silence over shouting. A true story, arguing to win, but losing a lifetime bond. Mr. Bay and Mr. Tam, friends of over 40 years. One day, they argued over a land boundary. They never looked each other in the eye again until the end of their lives. Mr. Tam's son later said, "As a child, I thought elders argued just for fun. As an adult, I realized one argument can sever a bond for life." What did the ancients teach about arguments? Words cost nothing, but choose them well, and they can soothe hearts. Silence isn't weakness. It's understanding that winning a fight often means losing peace. Arguing with unreasonable people is like pouring water into a bamboo leaf. It goes nowhere. Why do people argue so much? Because the ego is too loud. The ego wants to be right, to win, to be acknowledged. But the ancients reminded us, winning an argument doesn't make you superior. Conquering your ego, now that is true strength. Arguments may feel powerful, but the damage can run deep. Relationships fracture. Reputations fade from one careless word. Inner peace is lost in the cycle of who's right and who's wrong. You may win today's argument, but you might lose a listener tomorrow. The wise don't argue because they see further. When you know you're right, you don't need to prove it. When you realize you're wrong, change. No need to debate. The wise choose silence when needed because they know a word spoken at the right time can heal, but a wrong word in a heated moment can destroy. 5 ways to not argue, as the ancients taught. When angry, step back. The ancients called this patience in chaos. Holding back during anger preserves peace for later. Shift from winning to understanding instead of saying, I'm right. Try asking, why do you think that way? Can we see this from another angle? Speak at the right time. Not everything needs to be said immediately. Even the right words, if spoken at the wrong time, become meaningless. Choose who you engage with. Arguing with someone who always wants to win is a trap, but a single word to someone who truly listens can change everything. Learn when to be silent. Silence doesn't mean losing. It means you've chosen to win through grace, dignity, and wisdom. A touching story. Silence saved a marriage. Ms. Hoa shared, "My husband has a temper. He used to say harsh things whenever we fought. I used to shout back just as fiercely. But one day, I changed. I poured a glass of water, set it on the table, and stayed silent. 10 minutes later, he returned with softer eyes. I'm sorry, he said. I was wrong. Silence, at the right time, kept the home from falling apart. 4. Arguing to win is natural, but stepping back to preserve peace is wisdom. True maturity isn't about always being right. It's about knowing what's truly worth keeping. As the ancients said, if it matters, one word is enough. If it doesn't, silence is the highest form of strength. Unbothered by gossip, finding stillness amid the noise of the world. Sometimes we do nothing wrong, yet people talk behind our backs. Live kindly, they call it fake. Stay silent, they say you're arrogant. Smile often, you're labeled insincere. Speak less, you're difficult. The ancients had a name for all of this. Thi-fi, the endless cycle of gossip, praise, blame, truth, and falsehood in the world. And what did they teach? The wise don't live to please the crowd. They live to stay true to themselves. An old story, the man, the boy, and the donkey. A man and his son once took their donkey to market. First, they both walked. People said, "How foolish! They have a donkey and don't ride it." Then the father rode, the boy walked. People said, "What a cruel man, letting his child walk." So they both rode. People whispered, "Poor donkey, how cruel to burden it with two people." So they both got off and walked again. People laughed. "Why bring a donkey if you're not going to ride it? Ridiculous." The father sighed and said, "No matter what you do, people will judge. So live not to please others, live to be at peace with yourself." What did the ancients teach about gossip? The wind may howl, but a steady heart does not shake. Their mouths are theirs, your life is yours. Strong winds only uproot weak trees. A calm heart stands firm through storms. Why do gossip and rumors hurt? Because deep down, we all want to be understood. We all want to be seen, accepted, defended. But the ancients reminded us, don't expect everyone to understand you. Sometimes, even you don't fully understand yourself. They didn't teach us to run from gossip. They taught us how to walk through it without losing ourselves. The wise don't escape judgment. They rise above it. They don't react to every insult. They don't rush to explain every false rumor. They trust that truth has its own light, and time will reveal it. The more you respond, the deeper you sink. The more you explain, the more you feed the noise. 5 ways to stay unbothered, as the ancients taught. Know who you are. If your values are clear, no gossip can shake you. You don't carry a mirror to prove you're beautiful. Just walk with grace. Listen selectively. Praise, don't get too proud. Criticism, don't get too crushed. Not every voice deserves a seat in your heart. Let your actions speak louder than gossip. Live clean, work honestly. Their mouths may be dirty, but your deeds must stay pure. Avoid gossip, but don't fear truth. Stay away from useless talk about others. But speak up when silence allows injustice to win. Remember, gossip is a test of inner peace. Everyone faces gossip at some point, but only the strong stay focused, walk quietly, and move forward without turning back. A true story. A single mother who smiled through whispers. Lan was a single mother. Neighbors gossiped. Did her husband leave her? Couldn't she hold a family together? She's attractive, but no man would marry someone like her. At first, she cried. Later, she smiled and said, "They don't live my life. As long as my child sees me strong and happy, that's enough." You cannot stop the world from talking, but you can choose not to carry their words in your heart. As the ancients said, gossip doesn't live in the speaker. It lives in the listener. If your heart is calm, rumors lose their power. You don't need to silence them. You only need to walk forward, without their voices shaping your path. Wait. Standing tall after failure, turning setbacks into strength, the ancient way. There are days when it feels like life has turned its back on you. A failed business, a broken relationship, poor health, betrayal, disappointment, loss. You feel helpless. You feel defeated. You wonder if you'll ever get back up again. But the ancient sages once said, failure doesn't defeat us. Giving up does. An old story, the broken cart. A man once pulled a cart loaded with goods. Halfway down the road, the cart's axle broke. He sat down and sighed. This must be bad luck. I'll just go home. An old man walked by and said, a broken axle isn't the end. It's life asking you, do you still want to go on? What did the ancients teach about failure? No one climbs a mountain in a straight line. We rise, fall, and stumble. The noble do not boast in victory, nor give up in defeat. Life brings hardship not to punish, but to strengthen. You cannot forge steel in lukewarm water. Why does failure hurt so much? Because we were taught to succeed fast. Because society celebrates those at the top and forgets those who fell but kept going. But the ancients reminded us, the truly strong are not those who never fall, but those who stand back up, silently and steadily. The real cost of giving up too soon. Opportunities are lost, not because we failed, but because we quit too early. Self-belief is slowly eroded. We start living small, not because we are weak, but because we stop trying. The true failure is not losing a battle, it's refusing to fight again. The wise stand tall, even when the world falls apart. They don't deny pain, but they refuse to let pain define them. Instead, they ask, what is this failure teaching me? Where am I being refined? How can I move, even if just one small step forward? As the ancients said, the small-minded blame fate in hardship. The wise improve themselves. 5 timeless strategies to rise from failure. See failure as a lesson, not a life sentence. One failed project doesn't make you useless. One wrong move doesn't mean you're doomed. Get up early, while your courage is still warm. Don't lie in defeat too long. Don't let a temporary loss become a permanent identity. Learn from someone who's been through it. No great person has a perfect record. Study their scars, their maps to your recovery. Break down your goals if the mountain seems too high. Just focus on the next step. Keep a record of your comebacks. Each time you stand again, write it down. So next time you fall, you'll remember, I've been through worse, and I rose. A true story. A woman who rebuilt from ruin. Mai once ran a small clothing shop in Ho Chi Minh City. When the pandemic hit, she lost everything. The shop closed, debts remained. She had no income and a child to care for. There were nights she cried in silence, not knowing how to go on. But instead of giving up, she learned. She picked up a new skill: online sales, video content, social media. 2 years later, she rebuilt her business. Stronger, smarter. Now, she helps others do the same. She said, if I had quit back then, I never would have known how strong I really am. You didn't fall to stay down, you fell so you could rise wiser. The ancients taught, failure is a turning point, not a dead end. The wise don't run from difficulty. They let it teach them, shape them, and sharpen their spirit. So when you fail, and you will, let it soften your ego, not your will. Let it burn away illusion, not your hope. Let it build your character, not bury your future. Because strength doesn't come from avoiding storms. It comes from learning how to walk through them with grace. If you find these ancient teachings valuable, share them to help spread a little peace, a little steadiness in a world still filled with too much noise. And remember, no one can teach you how to live better than yourself. But the words of the ancients can offer you a small lantern to light your path when your heart has yet to find its way. See you in the next videos.